It was a scene that had played out a million times, but on that day in June 2025, it felt different. Malachi Moreno had just moved into his new home at the University of Kentucky, only 20 minutes from his old home in Georgetown. The 7-foot freshman and his older brother Michael celebrated the only way they know how: basketball. With their mother Sarah watching, Malachi and Michael laced it up and held a 3-point contest on the practice court at the Joe Kraft Center.
That was really cool to watch. Just to see the dynamic from when Malachi was always following Michael, and then now Michael has since graduated college, and now Malachi's coming through college, and it's like just to watch them together and how much they love each other, and they're super competitive. And you could ask either one of them, and either one of them would tell you who's going to win, and it would be a different answer every day.
The predictions may change, but so far, the result has always been the same.
I'm going to keep it brutally honest. I have yet to win.
He still can't beat me, but he's close. He's very, very close.
Michael won that day. Not entirely surprised, considering he's the best 3-point shooter in Eastern Kentucky University history. However, the chase continues, which Michael is counting on as Malachi's star continues to rise. After leading Great Crossing to its first state title, Malachi came to Kentucky thinking he'd be a role player in his freshman season, just to earn a starting job 6 games in. He steadily improved throughout the year and was named to the SEC All-Freshman team, one of the most promising rookies in the league. There is more work to be done in Lexington, but the NBA isn't too far off on the horizon. That's quite a journey for a kid from Georgetown, one that is only possible because of the person whose shadow he used to walk in and the sacrifices he made along the way.
Because his legacy is what built me, so anytime somebody brings it up, I say there's no me without him.
If you saw Michael Moreno as a kid, there was a good chance you saw Malachi too. Even though the brothers are 6 years apart in age, Malachi was constantly by Michael's side, sometimes to Michael's chagrin.
Malachi had to be everywhere Michael was, and Michael was like, "Mom, does Malachi really need to be wherever I am?" But he was really good about it.
Brothers being brothers, they were competitive in everything. Malachi desperate to get the best of Michael whenever he could. Monday Night Raw was appointment viewing, the brothers fighting over their favorite wrestlers and holding their own matches. Because he was smaller, Malachi thought he had the freedom to do whatever it took to take down Michael. One night, he went a little too far.
He used to jump on me while I would sleep, and one day, his heel hit me right in my face. And I got up, and it was the first time I was like, I'm gonna put real hands on him this time. Well, needless to say, we didn't get to fight much more after that, just because, it was, he didn't try me anymore. He didn't sneak attack me anymore. It was really kind of squashed from there.
Even at the risk of losing cool points, Michael let Malachi tag along with his friends to the point that he became a member of the pack.
Luckily, I had good enough friends who wanted to be, around him as well, and they thought it was funny because he was the kid that when we would get in the car, we'd turn on some music, he would put the sunglasses on and kind of put his arm out the window, and that's who he was. He was like, all right, I'm gonna do my best to fit in.
We would drive around late at night just listening to every music we could. I remember there were like some songs we would play every time and we would know word for word.
Drake and Playboy Cardi became the soundtrack of Malachi's childhood because of those drives, Michael not feeling the need to censor his playlist just because Malachi was 6 years younger.
I think that was the moment where we started to get close. Just when I started driving, I had to take him around. I was like, I'm not gonna change who I am or what I'm doing just because he's in the car. I'm gonna listen to the same music. I'm gonna call my friends the same way. But he's just gonna be with me, and that's just how it's gonna be.
As Michael's basketball career got more serious, Malachi didn't really have a choice but to pay more attention. He started to play on the court during Michael's practices, which is when it became clear that he wasn't just any other kid. Billy Hicks, Michael's coach at Scott County, took notice.
So with him, obviously coming to the gym when I was playing, he's getting in the drills because my coach wanted him to be. He's always thinking future, always thinking next steps, and Malachi at that time was the future of the city. As a kid, I swear, he was so different than I was. He had way less interest, but the ability was always there for whatever reason.
On the court at Scott County, Michael led the Cardinals to 3 straight 11th region titles and back-to-back state runner-up finishes.
It was awesome. He kind of paved the way for me to get into basketball, just being dragged around to all his AAU tournaments and everything. So I think I was seeing how much fun he was having with the game, so I thought I would give it a try too. And then I fell in love with it, and now it's where I am today.
When it came time for the next step, Michael had plenty of Division I offers to choose from, including one from Iowa. He eventually settled on a final three of Eastern Kentucky, Evansville, and Wofford. He, his parents, and his high school coach sat down at the dining room table and ranked the three by several factors, ranging from academics and athletics to his relationship with the coaching staff and even how nice the dorms were. When they added it all up, Eastern Kentucky won out, likely due to one significant variable: distance from home.
Spent a lot of time thinking, okay, well, the way the list fell, Eastern made the most sense. And as a result of that, I was going to get to do exactly what I wanted to do, which is be here for the most pivotal moments of his life.
Michael's decision was music to Malachi's ears.
Oh, he was very excited because he was just really starting into basketball at that point. And so he knew, oh, yay, Michael's going to be around. And because they're so close, I mean, I can't say, 100% what he was feeling or anything, but you could tell that it was almost like a sense of relief, like I still have my big brother around.
In the summer between 7th and 8th grade, a growth spurt shot Malachi from 6'4" to 6'10". That's when their games took on a different tone.
Just being around him at that age, you get to 13 years old, you're 6'8". I mean, and nobody around you's that size, but he's able to make layups offhand. He's able, most kids just try to shoot everybody. He's trying to score around people. He's trying to work on his jump shot. He's trying to do all these things that typical 13-year-olds don't think about doing, and also typical 6'8", 6'9" kids don't try to do either.
Even though Malachi was now taller, Michael still had one advantage: a three-point shot.
Yeah, I think a couple times he got lucky that he can actually shoot the ball and I can't. So I think he would win off of a couple threes, and then he would be like, if I can't hit threes, I'm not going to beat you. So I think that's kind of just been his realization.
Michael would come to Georgetown whenever he could for extra workouts with Malachi, and Malachi would stay with him at EKU too. Michael was thriving in Richmond, both on the court and off. He found his future wife, Jade. He was killing it in the classroom. He broke several program records. Seeing him reach new heights only made Malachi want to do it too.
It was a big shoes to fill, and me, I always like to achieve a challenge. Like every year, I always set a goal for myself, and I try to go achieve that goal. So I think just having that goal of, oh, he was a legend, but I'm gonna try to be better, and I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna work hard. I think that kind of that drove my passion for getting better, and it drove my passion and gave me that work ethic that I needed.
Malachi Moreno could have easily followed in his brother's footsteps at Scott County. However, there was a new school in town. Great Crossing High School opened in 2019, just 1 mile down the road from Scott County High School. Malachi seized on the opportunity to chart his own path.
I wanted to go to Great Crossing and make a name for myself, put that school on the map, and then I got competitive and I tried to beat all his records that he had at Scott County. I wanted to have him at Great Crossing.
During Malachi's freshman season, his mother made him lasagna the night before a game. The next day, he recorded his first triple-double. A superstition was born from the remnants of Sarah's pantry.
He wanted lasagna this one night, and I didn't have lasagna noodles. I didn't have the sauce that I needed. I didn't have anything that I needed other than I had cheese. We always have cheese in the house. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I kind of was just looking through the things that I had, and I was like, okay, let me try this.
In the summer after Malachi's freshman year at the Super Sophomore Camp. Most of the top prospects in the 2025 class were there, including Caleb Wilson, a 6'7", 180-pound power forward who already had offers from high major programs.
Okay, well, this is the other biggest kid in the gym. Let's see what happens. And Malachi more than holds his own. He competes his butt off, and he walks away being one of the best players in the camp, one of the most talked about players in the camp. And it's like, okay, well, maybe he's got a shot.
It also opened Michael's eyes to just how good his brother could be.
Just his drive to want to compete, I think, was what kind of shifted that for me. And just being as big as he is, we all in our hearts want Kentucky kids to succeed, and we all want them to succeed at Kentucky if possible. But you have to still be realistic. There's tons of kids in the state who dream of playing here, but their games are better suited for other opportunities, and that's the nicest way to put it.
He said, you really put yourself on the map, but now it doesn't matter. You you got to continue to push yourself. You got to continue to get better. And I think that kind of just stuck with me just because it was a crucial moment, just like in the recruiting process for me. And having those like words of affirmation that like what I did this summer doesn't matter anymore and what I have in front of me does. It drove me to strive for what's in front of me.
A few months later, in late October 2023, Malachi earned an offer from the University of Kentucky. Michael was by his side as Sean Calipari and his staff shared the good news.
It was one of the coolest things ever because the way they presented it, like, look, we don't do this much, and we don't do this much for underclassmen, but I think you have a chance to be really special. I think you're going to be a guy that develops into a long-term talent, and we want to be a part of that. And you're the 9th guy that we got to offer in your class, and we only offer about 12. So, we want you to wear it like a badge of pride, badge of honor, and just know that we want you.
So did the next staff. When Mark Pope took over in April 2024, he made Malachi one of his top priorities on the recruiting trail. After graduating that May, Michael was preparing for a professional career. He had options in New Zealand, Colombia, Belgium, and even a G League tryout.
So if he was to go pro, he would miss kind of like my senior year, my final year of high school. So we definitely had talks about that, and I told him, like, this is your dream, so it's 100% up to you, and I'm gonna support you 100%. So I think we just had talks about just like we were gonna support each other no matter what the decision was.
Family won out again, Michael sacrificing whatever could have happened in his own basketball career to help Malachi chase his. Pope's pursuit of Malachi picked up. In June 2024, he reoffered Malachi a scholarship on an unofficial visit. Michael was there for that one too, sitting with his brother and Mark Pope in the Rupp Arena locker room.
He's like, I just want you to understand how special it is, of a place to me, but how special it is that we get kids like you here. And so it was very cool just for that to kind of unfold in the sense that it did and in the time frame that it did, because in real time he was developing into a real talent. And then selfishly as a brother, like for me, I get to kind of live through that in the same lens. And so seeing that, it's like, oh, well, he basically just offered all of us. We're all going to be at Kentucky. Like, that's cool, so.
In August, with his senior year on the horizon, Malachi knew what he wanted to do.
I think that was like my 4th practice that I went to that week, so it was kind of funny. Michael came to almost every single one of them with me, and I told him before, I said, I think I'm gonna commit here today, just because there was no place I wanted to be. Like, Kentucky was always my dream school. We kind of just talked for a little bit, and then that's when I told Pope and my brother that I was committing, and I wanted to make sure that my brother was the first one to know.
I was just so proud of him because he's worked so hard. On a small scale, he walks around town and people will tell him, oh, your brother is, all these things, and how good he was. You got a chance to be good just like him. And he's like, man, I don't want that. Like, yeah, I know how good he was, but I want to make my own path. I want to be my own guy.
In his senior year, Malachi accomplished a few things his brother did not. He won Kentucky Mr. Basketball after leading Great Crossing to its first state title, scoring 24 points in the championship game at Rupp Arena. He was also named a McDonald's All-American and selected for the USA Basketball Under-19 National Team Training Camp, along with Jasper Johnson and Mark Pope, who was an assistant at the camp. Malachi suffered a minor knee injury at the camp and decided to withdraw and return to Lexington to start his next chapter, the most exciting and difficult one yet. Kentucky's plan for Malachi's first year was pretty simple. Brandon Garrison was returning, expected to take another step forward as a junior, and Jaden Quaintance was transferring in, expected to make his debut mid-season as he rehabbed from ACL surgery. Malachi was supposed to ease his way in.
And I walked into the year extremely optimistic, saying, look, Malachi is going to get primed to really impact the game, but he's not going to have to do it at a great length yet, which you never know about freshmen, right? Like, some of them can carry a massive load, on their shoulders, and some of them can, help you in spurts.
Malachi was asked to do the former much sooner than expected. Mark Pope knew he had to make a change, pulling Malachi aside in the days before Kentucky's home game versus Loyola, Maryland on November 21st.
Coach came to me a couple days before and she's like, I'm about to throw you in the fire, and I know you can do it, and I'm giving a lot of faith to you. My brother told me, he said, now that you're getting this spot, you can't give it back. So you have to do everything in your power to keep that spot.
For the most part, that's what happened. In his first start, Malachi came up just shy of a double-double. He started all but one game since then, when Jaden Quaintance got the nod in Kentucky's loss to Missouri. Malachi and Michael talk every day, but the discussion they had before Kentucky started SEC play sticks out.
He told me, now that you're getting into conference play, like, it's going to get a lot tougher, especially with how physical the SEC is. And he said, you just have to mentally and physically prepare yourself for what's to come, and just like, you just have to be ready. And I think just having that mentality of just like, I have to mentally prepare myself for every game in conference play, because every conference play game is a battle at the end of the day.
Malachi knows that whether or not he is ready for those SEC battles has been a debate among fans.
Kind of that I'm weak and I'm soft, and that I need to get stronger, or I got soft hands or something like that. And I kind of just, I take that, I rub it off my shoulder, and then I move on to the next day, because I mean, at the end of the day, people on the outside, they can say what they want, but I know who I am, I know what I do, and I'm here to win, so.
Malachi has proven that on many occasions, most memorably at LSU, and Michael almost missed it. He was flying back from a work trip in Texas. Luckily, the plane had Wi-Fi, so he could stream the game on his phone, but when Kentucky got down 18 to the Tigers, he couldn't handle it anymore and switched to something else.
I see the score start to change, and they start to come back. I'm like, he's gonna get upset. I need to turn this on. I need to see if he's part of this. Then he picked up his fourth foul, and I'm like, great. So now I just have to watch this and suffer, knowing that there's nothing I can tell him other than, man, stay out of foul trouble. Well, then he gets back in the game, and they start chipping away and chipping away and chipping away.
By the time Colin Chandler went to inbound the ball down one with 1.6 seconds left, the plane had landed and was taxiing to the gate.
Well, he threw it to Malachi, and I was like, man, this cannot be what they drew up. And he catches it, and I'm sitting there, and my phone is, literally inches from my face. Shot goes in, I jump up, I punch the seat in front of me, and the guy in front of me is like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm trying to whisper, because I'm trying to be quiet. Like, my brother just hit a shot. Like, this is crazy. I'm so sorry.
As Michael showed the man in front of him the clip, texts and phone calls started flooding in. He was shaking with excitement when he walked off the plane, texting his brother in all caps.
He was hyped. He answered the phone, yelling and screaming. He was just like, that was a really good shot.
Malachi was excited too, but what he said next caught Michael off guard.
Yeah. He said, I just want to get over it though. I'm ready to play Tennessee. And I'm like, dude, you just hit the biggest shot of your life. What are you talking about, play Tennessee? Go home, like, go to bed, Text people back, watch the video again, like, enjoy this. And he's like, man, I'm ready to play Tennessee. Like, I've been wanting to play him for a while.
Growing up as a Kentucky fan, Malachi's dislike for Tennessee is baked in. However, he also viewed the game in Knoxville as a chance to prove himself. Even though Kentucky battled back from 17 points down to win that game, Malachi got pushed around in the post. The game was so intense that Malachi didn't even notice the elbow he took to the face that gave him a black eye.
It happened at some point in the second half, but I came over to the bench and they were like, your eye is swelling up. I said, what? Like my adrenaline was so high that I didn't feel my eye was swelling up.
Malachi helped lead Kentucky's comeback in the rematch at Rupp, playing with extra physicality against Tennessee's bigs.
Malachi, how physical is Malachi offensively in the post tonight? I mean, we could have milked him a lot more. He was a monster. Like, he was so determined in the post offensively.
After Kentucky's wins over South Carolina and Vanderbilt, Malachi won his first SEC Freshman of the Week award. Malachi ranks 12th in program history in rebounds by a freshman, 12th in blocks, and 15th in field goal percentage. If you narrow the pool to freshmen from Kentucky, he's even higher, first in block shots and rebounds. Mark Pope knows how much that latter part matters. Listen, guys, this Malachi Moreno is really special, Pope said after Kentucky's win over Vanderbilt on February 28th. He's Kentucky, born and raised, and every time there's been a challenge as a young freshman big, which is really hard to do, every time there's been a challenge where he hasn't felt good about his performance and he's had a chance to go respond, he's responded. For every thrilling high in Malachi's freshman season, there has been an equally depressing low. Kentucky has dealt with injuries all year, playing just 3 games at full health. Mark Pope built his second team with a reported $22 million price tag, likening the squad to a Ferrari before the season began. The Cats have been a clunker on more than one occasion, drawing the ire of a weary fan base. When Kentucky trailed Gonzaga by 13 at halftime in a neutral site game in Nashville in December, those frustrations boiled over, boos raining down from the overwhelmingly pro-UK crowd.
I've never been a part of something like that, and I don't know if I'll ever be a part of something like that again. It hurt me, just as a sibling. I know a lot of the other family members were just like, man, like this is bad, like this is unfortunate. And so, some of those lows have been hard to navigate.
The criticism stings, and try as the family might, it is impossible to ignore.
Getting on social media after the games, it's like, we need to go at Malachi now because like we expect so much of him. And for me, it's like, it's a blessing and a curse because you don't want to read that, but at the same time, it's like they expect so much of him that they are going to say a lot of things that really don't probably need to be said.
Sarah is the most susceptible, screenshotting the most ridiculous remarks on social media to stew over.
I think Malachi's ability to live in the moment has really helped him be able to handle all of the expectations, just because he literally, I mean, they're the ones calming me down when I read nasty things on social media, and he's like, Mom, who cares? I'm like, and Michael's like, okay, Mom, he's the, okay, Mom, like, I don't respond to anything. I read it all, but I don't respond to anything because there's no reason to do that. But Malachi literally just like water off a duck's back. And I think his personality allows for that, which is excellent in the light that he's been put into.
The weight's there, but at the end of the day, you can't really let it hang on your shoulders. You kind of just have to let it drop because you got to focus on the moment. You got to focus on the present. So
having Michael by his side helps. The two talk daily, Michael offering his feedback on how the team can improve and serving as a filter when things get really bad.
He's a kid that he kind of just takes it in stride, at least when I talk to him. And he's told me on multiple occasions, he's like, look, I'm going to hear a lot of this stuff anyway, so I'd rather hear it first from you knowing that it's coming from a good place rather than just being angry. Sometimes he'll text me before and say, hey, I'm not going to say anything, but I am going to call you, so can you just talk? And I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. I can talk tons, trust me.
Just having him as the mentor, I think, has 100% put Malachi from here all the way to up here in leaps and bounds, even over others, just because they don't have a Michael.
Kentucky's regular season was a disappointment, but the postseason is here, bringing with it a fresh start. After making it to the SEC tournament quarterfinals, the Cats begin their NCAA tournament run this week. Malachi can't wait, not too far removed from the kid who used to fill out brackets for almost every scenario. Naturally, there was always one, with Kentucky winning it all.
I'm very excited. Hopefully, getting the March Madness. It'll be my first ever one. I think it'll be crazy when I step out on that court for the first time in March Madness because, I grew up as a kid watching the tournament. I remember I'd make all these brackets and put them in these little drawings with my friends, and you get a prize if you win. So I think just now I get to be a part of that. I think it's just it's a dream come true.
When all is said and done, Malachi will consider his first year in Lexington a success, and the obstacles he's faced a critical part of what's next.
It's kind of exceeded all my expectations, really. I think every team has their highs and their lows, and right now we're facing adversity, but I think just being able to fight through that adversity, I think I've never been part of a team that's had to fight so much adversity, with the injuries and all these different games coming our way.
The transfer portal will open soon. If he chose to enter it, Malachi would be a hot commodity, likely one of the top portal prospects in the country. Pope met with Malachi and his family to reassure them that they are putting all their chips in on year 2 with him in Kentucky Blue.
He said the good thing about Malachi is throughout this entire process, there's going to be a clear path, as to where he's going to need to go next, as far as testing the waters, as far as staying here and grinding it out, whatever it may be. So there's going to be a clear path. So understanding that, you have not only a purpose here, but you have an opportunity to be one of, the special ones that we have.
As Pope embarks on what will be a pivotal offseason and a make-or-break third season himself, it's something he may be banking on.
Obviously, we want to make a leap. Instead of going into that sophomore slump, we want to make a leap in terms of impact, in terms of performance, in terms of winning. We want the expectation to maintain that, we're going to compete for SEC championships. We're going to go back to the Final Four. We're going, you want that as a player, but in his eyes, he wants to be responsible. It's not just, hey, I'm on a team that went to the Final Four. It's like, hey, me and the guys, we took this group to the Final Four. That's what he wants.
There is plenty of work to be done. Michael will be by Malachi's side for it all. He admits there are days when he wakes up and wishes he were still playing too. However, he has no regrets in putting aside his dreams to push his brother towards his.
I feel myself starting to get into that time of, reminiscing. I think about all that has happened because of the decision that I made. Everything happens for a reason. God takes us on the journeys that he wants us to go on. And I like to tell people that, when God does these things, we never understand in the moment. But those moments of clarity that everybody has, like, oh, okay, that's why it worked out that way. That's the God nudge that you're getting. Like he's giving you a nudge saying, hey, see, told you should have trusted me. Hey, see, told you it was going to work out. And
Michael's sacrifice is just more fuel for Malachi, who is determined not to let it go to waste. There's still one area in which Michael has bragging rights. With all of the focus on the season, there hasn't been much time for one-on-one, but the future battle is always brewing. Malachi is confident it will be the one he finally wins.
I think maybe the next time we play, I'll get him.
To this point, that is what Michael has banked on to push his little brother harder. As Malachi gets bigger and stronger, Michael knows that when the two take the court next, his time as the champ could be up.
But when it comes down to it, I want to always have the last laugh. I can't let him have that yet. It's the last thing I'm holding on to. It's my last bit of glory. So he's very, very close to completely wiping that away from me.
If or when that happens, their roles will be reversed in more ways than one. Given all they've gone through, that's one reason Michael may let the game finally take place.
And I tell people all the time, like, he spent the first 16 years of his life as Michael's little brother. And that's what a lot of people refer to him to. And now for the rest of my life, I get to be Malachi's big brother. And so for me, it's like the coolest thing, getting to share these moments with him, because he not only has earned this, but he wants to share this with his family and with people because it means that much to him.